Hi, good morning everyone. My name is Mela Garcia and I'm creating the video presentation, The Science, Technology and Society. The topics is Copernicus, Darwin, Freud, and Information Technology. Let's do this!
It was a year that saw long-held beliefs challenged by newly found wonders. Breakthroughs that led to innovations. And a glimpse 130 million years into the past. In August 2017, alarms sounded at the most sensitive scientific devices ever constructed. In Washington State, the Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory, LIGO, detected faint disturbances from deep space. The signal also hit LIGO's sister facility in Louisiana. Gravitational waves had reached Earth.
Now, let's talk about the Nicholas Copernicus was a resonance polymath active as a mathematician, astronomer, and Catholic canon who formulated a model of the universe that placed the Sun rather than Earth at its center.
Imagine you discovered something nobody would believe. Even worse, your discovery might get you into serious trouble. That's what happened in 1514. Nicholas Copernicus was a deeply religious man. He worked for the church as a physician for the poor people of Poland by day, but at night he studied the heavens. Copernicus measured the relative angles of the sun, moon, and planets and concluded that the universe is heliocentric, or that it revolves around the sun. Helios is a word used by the ancient Greeks for the sun. In Copernicus' time, almost everyone believed that the Earth was the center of the universe. People believed that the sun and other heavenly bodies moved in circles around the Earth. Copernicus feared that his ideas did not agree with how some people interpreted the Bible, so he circulated his opinions anonymously. Martin Luther, a leading religious figure of the day, said of Copernicus, "Scripture tells us that Joshua commanded the sun to stand still, and not the earth." A legend about Copernicus tells of a book he wrote about the heliocentric universe. A friend placed the book in his hands a few days after he lost consciousness from a stroke. Copernicus awoke to see that his work was published, and then died peacefully. We don't know if this story is true, but it shows how fearful people at that time were of challenging long-held beliefs, even if the beliefs are proven wrong.
Now, let's talk about the Charles Robert Darwin. Was an English naturalist, geologist, and biologist, best known for his contributions to the science of evolution. His promotions that all species of life have descended from common ancestors is now readily accepted and considered a fundamental concept in science.
What are Darwin's finches, and why are they so important to biologists? The study of finches led to the development of one of the most important scientific theories of all time. But how did this come about? In December 1831, a naturalist called Charles Darwin boarded the HMS Beagle bound on a surveying voyage to South America. Whilst the ship and crew carried out coastline surveys, Darwin was free to explore the islands en route. In 1835, the Beagle arrived at the Galapagos Islands near Ecuador. What Darwin found there surprised him greatly. As well as giant tortoises and marine iguanas, Darwin collected and preserved a variety of different songbirds called finches. Upon returning to the UK, he examined them together with ornithologist John Gould and made some fascinating discoveries. The scientists observed that the birds were all similar to a single type of finch found on mainland South America, suggesting that these mainland finches had originally colonized the island. However, the Galapagos finches were all slightly different from the original mainland species, and they were also different from each other. The finches on each island showed distinct variations in their overall size, beak shape, and claw size. These differences were attributed to the differing food sources available on the various islands of the Galapagos. Some of the birds had long, thin beaks and sharp claws suited to catching and eating insects, while others had large, powerful beaks suitable for cracking open nuts. Because of the distances between the islands, breeding between different species of finch was unlikely, and Darwin concluded that the finches must have evolved over time from the original mainland species to suit the conditions found on each individual island. In all, 13 of the birds brought back by Darwin were identified as being entirely new species, all similar to each other, but with definite variations from their common ancestor. Darwin proposed that the variations seen both within and between the finch species arose by chance. Variations which gave any individual a competitive advantage made them more likely to survive and therefore reproduce, outcompeting those with less advantageous characteristics. Darwin called this theory natural selection, and he published it in his book On the Origin of Species in 1859. Evolution by natural selection is now widely agreed to be the most accurate theory to explain the origin and diversity of all life on Earth.
And now, let's talk about Sigmund Freud, who was an Australian neurologist and the founder of psychoanalysis, a clinical method for treating psychopathology through dialogue between a patient and a psychoanalyst. Freud was born to Galician Jewish parents in the Moravian town of Freiburg in the Australian Empire.
Sigmund Freud was an Austrian neurologist and the founder of psychoanalysis, and was born in Freiburg in Moravia, but moved to Vienna with his family in 1857. He was an exceptionally gifted child and an excellent student. He attended medical school in Vienna and became involved in neuropsychology research and studied in Paris and Nancy with some of the most prominent psychologists of the time. After spending some time in Berlin, he returned to Vienna and set up a psychiatric practice. He adopted a new form of treatment with his patients that involved talking about their problems to trigger emotional release, known as repression, which is now widely seen as the basis for psychoanalysis. Freud's theories were well received, but he had many disagreements with other psychologists at the time, most notably the psychologist Carl Jung. In 1923, Freud developed a benign mouth tumor associated with his heavy smoking, which he had to have removed. After the outbreak of World War II, Freud went into exile in Hampstead, London, where he continued his work. In 1939, his mouth tumor returned, and he requested the help of his friend Max Schur to assist him in committing suicide. Schur gave Freud large doses of morphine, which ultimately led to Freud's death. Amongst other achievements, Freud contributed to research into cerebral palsy, psychoanalysis, and investigations into the conscious and unconscious minds of his patients. He also investigated dream interpretation, and was a strong advocate of repression techniques to revisit repressed memories that have been buried or repressed by the patient, as well as psychosexual therapies. Although a controversial figure, Freud's contributions to psychiatry and psychoanalysis have altered the direction and focus of many psychiatric methods and techniques.
The study use of systems, especially computer and televisions, for storing, retrieving, and sending information. Technology is the sum of any techniques, skills, methods, and processes used in the production of goods or service, or in the accomplishment of objectives used as scientific investigation. This is information technology.
Have you heard about it? Information technology. IT. It. Get it? It's the stuff you do right now. Connecting, downloading, uploading, creating, sharing, playing, mixing, matching, picture, clip, word. And that's IT. But that's not it. There's more. IT is where you can go and what you can do when you're done with school. It's using all this to solve problems, to make sense, to make money, to save lives, to be worldwide. Sort, store, retrieve, and send. To get somewhere your parents have barely imagined. Now do you get it? There's a lot in it, in IT, for you. So talk to your school counselor, take the classes, and go get it.
Thank you for watching.